The warmth of the fried chicken bag, grease soaking through the paper into my palm, was the last mundane comfort I felt before the world fractured. The garage was swallowed in shadow, save for the weak glow from the workbench window and the sharp blue of my stepson's phone screen. I'd slipped in through the side door, trying to bypass Carol's freshly mopped kitchen, hoping for one quiet night, one meal where the unspoken tensions didn't curdle the air. Then Cyrus's voice, unsettlingly casual, cut through the quiet. "Yeah, I already cut the brake line. See you at his funeral tomorrow." My fingers tightened around the greasy paper, the chicken bag now a dead weight. Cyrus's silhouette, broad shoulders relaxed, head tilted, seemed to mock the sudden, ice-cold knot in my stomach. I'd grabbed that bag thinking maybe, just maybe, we could pretend for an hour that our 32-year-old basement dweller wasn't the constant, festering wound in our home. His voice, flat and devoid of inflection, continued, "Yeah, it's done. He won't make it to Monday." A low chuckle escaped him. Then, a woman's voice, clear and familiar, tinny through the phone speaker. "You're sure?" "I'm sure," Cyrus affirmed. "You said you wanted it over." My pulse hammered against my ribs. I edged closer, my eyes fixed on the sliver of light from his phone. He shifted slightly, and there it was, the caller ID, stark against the dark screen. Carol, my wife's name. The voice spoke again, this time a phrase pricked my ears, "after Sunday service." And then, an almost playful jab, "Just be careful with that truck of yours." My stomach lurched. Sunday service, Carol always used that phrase instead of church. And the F-150. For years she'd joked I loved that truck more than her. It was Carol. There was no question. "Don't forget to lock up when you leave tomorrow," the voice continued, the words so perfectly Carol's, yet the rhythm was wrong. Like someone reading lines from a script. Carol, the habitual voicemail leaver, always reminding, always checking, but never with such deadened cadence. I backed up, my boot scraping the edge of the doorframe. A small sound, but it ripped through the stillness. Cyrus's head snapped up. His phone screen went dark. I froze, held my breath, counted 3 seconds, then 5, then 10. He turned back to his workbench, began meticulously arranging tools as if nothing had happened. I slid out, soundless, not daring to let the door click shut. The cold December air bit at my cheeks as I walked quickly around the house. Porch lights, a dog barking somewhere, the distant hum of a television, the night felt obscenely normal. The chicken bag hit the trash can at the corner with a soft thud. Every instinct screamed at me to go back, to grab Cyrus by the collar, to shake answers from them both. But a quieter voice, one I taught my HVAC apprentices, echoed, "Asterisk, patience is your tool. You use it first." Asterisk, I got into my sedan, the engine off. "Call the police." My thumb hovered over the phone. What would I say? My stepson said he cut my brake line, and my wife agreed, no recording, no physical evidence, no body yet. In a small town, that made you a punchline, a paranoid old man. Cyrus would shrug, say I was stressed. Carol would dab her eyes, and they'd continue their twisted game. I needed proof. Something that wouldn't sound like madness. I opened my notes app, meticulously recording everything, time, date, location, Cyrus's exact words, the caller ID, the phrasing of Carol's voice, the eerie, flat delivery. Then, from the driver's seat, I took a time-stamped photo of the garage, my truck in the driveway, the side door I'd used. Cyrus had always believed consequences were for other people. At 32, he still lived like a teenager, chasing new gadgets and schemes, nursing old grudges. When Carol and I married 11 years ago, I'd hoped he'd mature. Instead, he'd grown bitter, convinced the world owed him, and I was denying payment. Carol, too, had changed. She'd once been an office manager, volunteered at church, cared about appearances. But her conflict avoidance, her need to keep the peace, had intensified into a desperate, silent appeasement of Cyrus. It drove me mad, her constant need to smooth things over rather than confront issues head-on. She'd always played it safe. The real shift had come 6 months prior. I was updating my retirement accounts, beneficiaries. Carol was primary, naturally. But the numbers had grown: 30 years of careful saving, a paid-off house, survivor benefits from my HVAC pension. We were nearing $1 million. One night, Cyrus had asked about it, too casually. Who gets what if you die, Tobias? I should have lied. Instead, I told him, Carol, then any dependents. His slow smile had chilled me. So, I'm a dependent. My reply had been sharp: you're an adult living in my basement. His face had contorted as if I'd struck him. Weeks later, he asked me to co-sign a $38,000 loan to consolidate debt. The paperwork was a shark's smile: predatory interest, buried fees that would have seen me paying back nearly $60,000 in 3 years. I'd worked with numbers my whole life. I knew bad math. I told him no. You always think you're better than me, he'd sneered. I think I'm older, I'd corrected, and I've learned what debt does. He'd gone quiet, then started planting seeds in Carol's mind. Tobias doesn't trust me. Tobias thinks I'm worthless. Tobias wants me gone. She'd begun looking at me differently, as if he might have a point. Carol always felt guilty about Cyrus's childhood. His father, Owen, had left when Cyrus was 6. She'd overcompensated ever since, unable to say no. Around that time, Cyrus started spending more time with Owen, claiming his dad was teaching him mechanics, bonding. Carol saw it as healthy. I saw it as conveniently timed. Once, driving past Owen's garage, I'd seen them both under a car. Brake work, Owen had said, teaching him the basics. Cyrus had also grown strange about his phone, recording everything: family dinners, conversations, Carol's voicemails. Said it was for a documentary about blended families. No one questioned it. I sat in my car for another 20 minutes, weighing every option. The truck couldn't stay. If Cyrus had second thoughts and tried to fix it, the evidence would vanish. I opened the roadside assistance app, called for a tow. My voice was steady. Front driveway. Silver Ford F-150. Need it towed tonight. Is it drivable? No. Safety issue. Urgent. The dispatcher promised a truck in 40 minutes. Then I called my attorney, someone I'd worked with years ago on a property dispute. This better be good. It's almost midnight. I need advice right now, I said, my voice tight. I just overheard my stepson admit to cutting my brake line. Said he wants me dead. And I think my wife was on the call agreeing to it. Silence. Then her voice, sharp. Did you touch the truck? No. Having it towed. Good. Don't touch it. Where are you having it towed? I gave her the address of a 24-hour storage facility, cameras everywhere, off the main highway. Perfect, she said. Pay for a month up front. Park it and lock it. Don't let anyone near it until we get it inspected by an independent mechanic. Not someone you know, not someone Cyrus knows. Someone I refer. What about the police? After we have the evidence documented. Right now, it's your word against his. You need that brake line inspected by a professional before anyone can claim you tampered with it or that it was normal wear and tear. What if they try something else? Then you don't go home tonight. Check into a motel. Pay cash. And Tobias, don't tell anyone where you're going. Not Carol, not friends, nobody. Headlights swept the street. The tow truck. The tow's here, I said. Good. Call me when it's secured. The driver, a thick man in a beanie, looked from the truck to the house, then to me. You the one called it in? Yes. Brake problem. Taking it to storage. It's important. He shrugged. Where are we going? I gave him the address. He whistled. That's a haul. I'll pay extra. How much? 200 cash. Half now, half when we get there. He nodded. Deal. I handed him 100. The winch rattled, metal cable like chains dragging, as my F-150 rolled onto the flatbed. That truck had carried me through 3 decades of work, tools, parts, emergency calls. The driver returned with paperwork. Sign here. My pen shook. I forced it steady. He looked at me. You all right, man? I stared at my house, warm light through drawn curtains. My wife inside, oblivious. I'm fine. Just tired. He nodded, climbed into the cab. As the flatbed pulled away, I took another photo, time-stamped, showing the truck being towed, my house in the background. My phone buzzed. Carol, where are you? Then Cyrus, you moved the truck? I ignored them, opening my notes app to add the texts, timestamps, exact wording. I followed the tow truck to the storage facility, a place of chain-link fences and cameras, a bored attendant in a booth. I paid for outdoor vehicle storage, spot 47, a back corner under a light. I signed, got the padlock key. The tow driver unloaded my truck, I parked it, then took more photos, every angle, the lock, the fence, the overhead camera. Then I locked it and walked away. The driver dropped me at a gas station 2 miles away. I called an Uber, went to a motel off the highway, checked in under a fake name, paid cash. Room 217, second floor, view of the parking lot. I called my attorney. It's secured. Good. I'm calling a mechanic I trust first thing in the morning. Former state police vehicle inspector, does work for insurance fraud cases. If that brake line was cut, he'll document it properly. What do I do until then? Stay at the motel. Don't contact Carol or Cyrus. If they show up, call the police immediately. And Tobias, write down everything you remember. Every detail. We'll need it for the police report. I'm already doing that. Good. Get some sleep if you can. This is going to get worse before it gets better. She hung up. I sat on the bed, opened my laptop. 3 single-space pages by the time I was done, the conversation, the phone screen, the contact name, Carol's voice patterns, the timeline of Cyrus's behavior over the past 6 months. At 7 a.m., my attorney called. The mechanic was on his way, a former state police inspector with 30 years' experience. He'd meet me at the storage facility at 9. I drove my sedan there. He was waiting, late 50s, gray hair, worn coveralls, a clipboard, camera, rolling toolbox. Mr. Tobias? That's me. Your attorney says you think your brake line was tampered with. I know it was. I overheard the person who did it admit to it. His expression remained neutral. Let's take a look. I unlocked the gate. He circled the truck, photographing the exterior, tires, position. Then he popped the hood. I watched as he worked, unhurried, flashlight in hand. He got down on a creeper, rolled underneath. 5 minutes passed, then 10. A sharp mutter. Mr. Tobias, come here. Don't touch anything. I crouched down. He angled the flashlight. I'm no mechanic, but I know worn versus broken. The brake line wasn't frayed. It was cut. Clean. Straight. See this? He said, moving the light along the cut. No rust, no corrosion. Metal's bright. This happened recently, within the last few days. Someone used a proper cutting tool, probably a tube cutter. Why clean? So it doesn't look obvious at first glance. You hit the brakes a few times, fluid leaks gradual. By the time you're on the highway doing 70, you've got nothing left. Total brake failure. My vision blurred. When did you last drive this truck? Yesterday afternoon. It felt fine. Then it was done after that. Probably last night. He pulled out his phone, began taking photos. I'm documenting everything. Chain of custody has to be clean or the police won't be able to use this. You know how to do this? Did it for 30 years. Insurance fraud, criminal cases. You document everything or the defense tears it apart in court. He took more photos, measured the cut, photographed his measurements. Then he rolled out from under the truck, made a call. Yeah, I need to report a felony vehicle tampering. Brake line deliberately cut with apparent intent to cause serious injury or death. He gave them the address. Police are on the way. Don't touch the vehicle. Don't let anyone near it. This is a crime scene now. 20 minutes later, 2 patrol cars arrived. A younger officer and an older woman with sergeant stripes. You the mechanic who called this in? She asked. That's me. Brake line deliberately cut. Recent, clean tool marks. This wasn't an accident. She turned to me. You're the owner? Yes. Tobias. When did you last drive it? Yesterday afternoon. Parked it in my driveway around 6 p.m. I overheard someone admit to cutting the brake line around 8:30. I had it towed here immediately and secured it until I could get it inspected. You overheard someone admit to this? Who? My stepson, Cyrus. Her expression hardened. Where is he now? At my house. In the basement. The younger officer began taking notes. The sergeant knelt by the truck as the mechanic explained his findings. She stood, faced me. Sir, this is serious, but I need you to understand. Without a recording or witness to the conversation you overheard, connecting your stepson to the conspiracy will be hard. We'll absolutely charge the vehicle tampering, but proving intent for murder is tough. I understand. But I documented everything. Notes with timestamps, photos of the truck, the tow receipt, storage contract, everything. Good. That helps. We'll need a formal statement and process this vehicle as evidence. The mechanic stepped forward. I can provide a written inspection report. Photos timestamped. Professional assessment. Thank you. That'll make the prosecutor's job easier. She asked about recent conflicts. He asked me to co-sign a loan 6 months ago, $38,000. I refused. Any threats? Not direct, but he's been hostile since then. Told my wife I don't trust him, that I think he's worthless. What about your wife? Marital problems? I hesitated. Yes. She's been defending him, enabling him. We've been fighting about boundaries. The sergeant looked at me carefully. Is there any possibility your wife was involved? I heard her voice on the call, or something that sounded like her. But something felt off. Off how? Phrasing was right, but the rhythm was wrong. Like someone reading a script. She wrote it down. We'll look into it. They gave me an incident report number, told me not to discuss the case with anyone but my attorney. My truck was impounded as evidence. The mechanic handed me his 3-page report. My numbers are on there if you need anything else, he said. And Tobias, you did this right. Didn't panic. Documented. Protected the evidence. That's going to save your life in court. I drove back to the motel. Didn't go home. My attorney had been clear. My phone buzzed constantly, Carol, Cyrus, Carol's sister, church friends. I answered none of them. I called my attorney instead, recounting the inspection, the police report, the impound. Perfect, she said. Now, we file for an emergency protection order. That afternoon, she filed the petition, requesting an emergency hearing based on a credible threat of serious bodily harm. The next morning, we met at the courthouse. She had everything: police report, mechanic's report, my sworn affidavit, photos, timeline, tow receipts. The judge looked at me. "Mr. Tobias, you're stating your stepson attempted to kill you, and your wife may have been involved." "I'm stating the brake line on my vehicle was deliberately cut. I overheard my stepson admit to it. I heard what sounded like my wife's voice agreeing to it. I removed myself from the residence and preserved the evidence. I need protection while this is investigated." The judge flipped through the paperwork. "This is credible and concerning. I'm granting a temporary protection order with exclusive possession of the residence. Respondent Carol has 48 hours to vacate once served. No contact provision included for both Carol and Cyrus." My attorney collected the papers. "Thank you, Your Honor." Outside, she turned to me. "Sheriff will serve her today, probably within the next few hours. She'll have 48 hours to get out. Don't go back until that time is up." "Where do I go?" "Stay at the motel. And I'd recommend changing your bank passwords, freezing your credit, updating your beneficiaries if she's listed anywhere." Back at the motel, I opened my laptop. Changed every password, froze my credit, updated my beneficiary from Carol to a revocable trust my attorney would help me set up. Then, the joint checking account. Carol was co-owner. I couldn't freeze it without her signature or a court order. I called my attorney. "How much is in there?" "About 12,000. Withdraw half. That's your legal share during a separation. Put it in a new account in your name only. Document everything." "Won't that look bad?" "It looks practical. You're protecting your assets during a domestic crisis. That's allowed." I drove to the bank, withdrew $6,000, got a receipt, timestamp 2:47 p.m., opened a new account at a different bank across town, deposited the $6,000, got another receipt. My attorney called that evening. "It's done. Sheriff served Carol 3 hours ago at your residence." "How'd she take it?" "She was shocked. Tried to argue. Deputy told her the order wasn't up for debate. She has until Friday at 5 p.m. to vacate." "Where's Cyrus?" "Still in the basement, as far as we know. The order covers him, too. Both have to leave." "Can I go back Friday?" "After 5 p.m., yes. I'd recommend having a locksmith ready." Friday came. I drove to my house at 5:30 with a locksmith following. Carol's car was gone. Several boxes sat on the porch: clothes, photos, some kitchen items. Cyrus's car was also gone. The house felt empty, wrong, like a museum of someone else's life. The locksmith worked fast: new deadbolts, new garage lock, new window locks. 3 copies of each key, one for me, one for my car, one hidden in a magnetic box outside. I ordered security cameras online, doorbell, 2 exterior with motion detection, night vision, direct feed to my phone. They arrived 2 days later. I installed them myself, one facing the driveway, one at the back door, one covering the garage. Then I sat in my living room and waited. That night, Carol showed up in her sister's car. She got out, tried her key. It didn't work. She knocked, rang the bell. I watched on my phone from upstairs. She pulled out her phone, called me. I didn't answer. She texted, *Tobias, why won't the key work? We need to talk, *. I forwarded it to my attorney, who sent back a template response from her office number, *. Per the protection order, all communication must go through legal counsel. Contact your attorney, *. Carol read it. I watched her face change on the camera, shock, then anger, then hurt. She looked up, found the lens, stared right at it. Then she got back in the car and left. I sat in the dark house and felt nothing. 2 weeks later, a detective called. "Mr. Tobias, this is Detective Williams from the County Sheriff's Office. Following up on your incident report. Do you have a few minutes?" "Yes. I've been reviewing the evidence. The brake line cut is definitely deliberate. No question. But I need to ask you about the phone call you overheard. You said your wife's voice, but something felt off. Can you explain?" I walked her through it again, the familiar phrases, the flat delivery, the rhythm that wasn't Carol. "Interesting," the detective said. "We've been looking into Cyrus's phone records. He's been recording a lot of audio and video over the past year. Family dinners, phone calls, your wife's voicemails. Says it was for a documentary project. My stomach dropped. He's been recording Carol extensively. Hours of footage. We're going through it now with a forensic audio specialist. And there's something else. That call you overheard? We can't find any record of it in the phone company logs." "What does that mean?" "It means he wasn't actually on a call. He was playing something. An audio file, maybe saved in his phone." I sat down hard. "He set me up. We're looking into it. But here's where it gets complicated. We executed a search warrant on Cyrus's room. Found some interesting things. Burner phone purchased 3 days before the incident. Saved in his contacts as Carol with a heart emoji. Jesus. We're running forensics on his phone now. If he fabricated that audio, we'll find it. But I need to be honest. This will take time. Audio analysis, even rushed, takes weeks. The lab is backed up. What about Carol? Is she involved? That's what we're trying to determine. Right now, the evidence points more towards Cyrus manipulating the situation, but we can't rule anything out. What do I do?" "Stay where you are. Keep documenting everything. Don't contact either of them. We'll keep you updated." She hung up. I called my attorney. "This is good," she said. "It means they're taking it seriously. If Cyrus fabricated audio to frame Carol, that's another felony charge. Obstruction. False evidence. This keeps building. But how long? Could be months. But Tobias, you're safe. You're out of that house. They can't touch you. Let the system work." 6 weeks later, the detective called again. "We got the forensic audio results back. The call you heard wasn't a call. It was a fabricated audio file. Someone stitched together clips of your wife's voice from multiple recordings. Made it sound like a conversation." I closed my eyes. "How many clips?" 15 different sources. After Sunday service came from a video Cyrus took at Easter dinner 2 years ago. "Don't forget to lock up" was from one of Carol's voicemails. 15 different recordings to create a fake conversation. My hands started shaking. So Carol wasn't involved. Based on the evidence, no. She had no knowledge of the plan. Cyrus fabricated her involvement to make you think she wanted you dead. Why? Still piecing that together. But we found something else. Owen, Cyrus's father, had been researching life insurance policies on you. Browser history, screenshots of your policy details. Cyrus texted him. They knew exactly what was at stake. Owen. Yeah. And here's the thing. We pulled Owen's phone records, too. 83 calls between him and Cyrus in the 2 weeks before the incident. Text messages about your schedule, your routines, when you drove to work, whether you checked your truck before driving. Owen was in on it. We think so. We found a gas station receipt in Cyrus's car. Same location where the burner phone was purchased. Same date. Security footage shows Owen and Cyrus together at the counter. I felt sick. We're bringing both of them in for questioning. Arrest warrants are being prepared. Conspiracy to commit murder. Attempted murder, evidence tampering. This is serious. When? Tomorrow morning. Wanted to give you a heads up. This is going to hit the news. Small town like this, everyone will know. What about Carol? We've informed her. She's been cleared of any involvement. The protection order against her will be modified. You can keep exclusive possession of the residence if you want, but she's no longer considered a threat. I don't know what to say. You did everything right, Mr. Tobias. You didn't panic. You documented everything. You let us do our job. That's why we caught them. They arrested Cyrus and Owen the next morning. I watched it on the local news from my motel room. 2 men arrested in connection with an alleged murder-for-hire plot. Cyrus, 32, and his father, Owen, 57, are facing multiple felony charges, including conspiracy to commit murder and vehicle tampering. The reporter stood outside the police station. According to court documents, the pair allegedly cut the brake line on the victim's vehicle with the intent to cause a fatal accident. The victim, whose name is being withheld, discovered the plot and contacted authorities before driving the vehicle. Footage showed Cyrus being walked out in handcuffs, head down. Owen followed, the same blank expression he always had. Prosecutors say the men fabricated audio evidence to implicate the victim's wife, who has since been cleared of any involvement. If convicted, both men face significant prison time. Then Carol called. I stared at her name on the screen for a long time. Finally answered. Tobias. Her voice was broken, small. I saw the news. They're saying Cyrus tried to kill you. That Owen helped him. That they faked my voice to make you think I was involved. I didn't respond. Tobias, I swear I didn't know. I would never. You have to believe me. The police cleared you. I know, but I need you to hear it from me. I didn't want you dead. I loved you. I still love you. I stared at the motel wall. I enabled him, Carol continued, her voice cracking. For years, every time you tried to set boundaries, I undermined you. I chose him over you every single time. I made excuses. I convinced myself you were too hard on him. And he almost killed you because of it. She was crying now, full sobs. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Tobias. I hung up. Sat there in silence. The thing about betrayal is it doesn't matter if it was intentional. The damage is the same. Carol didn't cut the brake line, didn't plan my murder, didn't fake her own voice. But she created the conditions that made it possible. Every boundary she undermined, every excuse she made for Cyrus, every time she chose peace over truth. She built the environment where a 32-year-old man thought he could kill his stepfather and get away with it. That's on her. The preliminary hearing came 2 weeks later. My attorney convinced me to attend. The courtroom was small. Cyrus sat with his public defender, suit clean, face expressionless. Owen sat 2 rows behind him with his own attorney. They'd both made bail. Carol sat on the opposite side, alone. When our eyes met, hers were full of questions. I looked away. The prosecutor presented everything: police report, mechanics inspection, forensic audio analysis, phone records, gas station footage, Owen's emails to Carol, the research into my finances, the financial motive. A private investigator my attorney had hired testified, explaining Owen and Cyrus's extensive research into my insurance policies and retirement accounts. He detailed Cyrus's debt, the timeline of their increased contact after I refused to co-sign the loan. What was the total potential payout if Mr. Tobias had died? Approximately $1.1 million. And who would have received that money? Initially, Carol as his widow. But given her close relationship with Cyrus and his financial situation, it's reasonable to assume he expected to benefit significantly. The defense objected. Speculation, sustained, but the damage was done. The jury pool would remember that number. Cyrus and Owen were held over for trial, bail revoked based on flight risk and severity of charges. I watched them led away in handcuffs. Owen looked at me once, eyes empty, no recognition, like I was already a ghost to him. Trial prep revealed what I should have seen all along. The investigator kept digging. Found emails between Owen and Carol going back 2 years, friendly at first, then more frequent, then intimate. Owen had been trying to get Carol back. The emails were careful, never explicit, but the subtext was clear, references to what we had, suggestions they talk sometime without Tobias around, comments about how Cyrus deserved better than Tobias's negativity. Carol had never responded with anything encouraging. Most of her replies were brief, polite, gently shutting him down. But Owen had kept trying. Then, 6 months ago, after I refused to co-sign Cyrus's loan, the emails changed tone. Owen started asking about my schedule, my routines, whether I was treating Carol right. Carol had stopped responding entirely at that point, but Owen had gotten what he needed. The seed was planted in Cyrus's mind, Tobias is the enemy. Tobias is keeping us down. Tobias is in the way, Owen had been using Cyrus. The plan was elegant in a sick way, kill me. Make it look like Carol was involved. Carol goes to prison for conspiracy. Owen swoops in as the supportive ex-husband. Eventually gets access to my money through Cyrus, and Carol would have been destroyed, blamed for a murder she didn't commit, her life ruined while Owen and Cyrus split the insurance money. The investigator laid it all out in a 50-page report. The fabricated audio wasn't just to fool you, he said. It was to set Carol up. They wanted you to confront her, maybe hurt her in anger. Then they'd have you both in prison and the money free and clear. But I didn't confront her. That's why they're scrambling. You didn't follow the script. You documented. You stayed calm. You let the system work. They couldn't adapt. The trial came 9 months later. The prosecution presented everything: the cut-break line, the fabricated audio, the phone records, the gas station footage, Owen's emails to Carol, the research into my finances, the financial motive. Owen's attorney tried to argue he was just a concerned father helping his son reconnect with his mother. The prosecutor destroyed that in cross-examination. If you were just facilitating a relationship, why did you purchase a burner phone with your son 3 days before the break line was cut? No answer. If you were just concerned about Cyrus's well-being, why were you texting detailed questions about Mr. Tobias's driving schedule? No answer. If your intentions were innocent, why did you help fabricate audio evidence to frame your ex-wife? No answer. The jury came back in 6 hours. Guilty on all counts for both defendants. Cyrus got 12 years, eligible for parole after 8. Owen got 10 years, eligible after 7. The judge was harsh during sentencing. You didn't just attempt to murder Mr. Tobias. You attempted to destroy an innocent woman's life. You fabricated evidence. You manipulated your own son. You exploited a family's trust. This was calculated, methodical, evil. Owen kept his head down, never looked at anyone. Cyrus stared at me once, eyes dead, like I'd stolen something from him. They were led away. Carol made a sound, broken, raw. After the sentencing, she approached me in the hallway. I didn't know, she said, about Owen, about the emails, about any of it. I know. I thought he just wanted to be part of Cyrus's life again. I thought I was helping. I know. She looked at me with desperate eyes. Can we talk, please? Just once. I thought about it. Really considered it. Then shook my head. There's nothing left to say, Carol. I walked away. 8 months after sentencing, I sold the house. Bought a small place near the river. 1 story. No basement, just peace. My attorney got a $400,000 judgment against Owen and Cyrus for civil damages, emotional distress, attempted wrongful death, legal fees, and punitive damages. They'll never pay it, but it follows them forever. Every background check, every credit report, every job application until they die. I started seeing someone 3 months ago, Hadley. She owns the hardware store on Main Street. We get dinner at the diner, talk about normal things. She knows about the trial but doesn't push. It's easy, comfortable, no history. Then last week, Carol showed up. She looked smaller, older, graying. Tobias, can we talk? We sat on the porch steps. I've been in therapy twice a week, she said, trying to understand how I raised someone capable of that. I cut contact with both of them. Cyrus writes from prison. I send the letters back. Owen tries calling. I blocked him. Her voice cracked. I chose Cyrus over you every single day for 11 years. I undermined every boundary you set, and you almost died because of it. I'm so sorry. Is there any chance for us? Here's where I'm stuck. Part of me says, heck no. She had 11 years to pick me first. 11 years of choosing wrong. $1 million in retirement money and 1 cut break line later, now she wants another shot. Hadley doesn't have that baggage. When I say I need space, she gives it. No guilt, no drama, just respect. But 11 years is 11 years. We had good years before Cyrus poisoned everything. Carol didn't cut the break line. Didn't plan my murder. She was manipulated, too. She's in therapy. She cut them both off. She's trying. And Hadley, she's great, but it's only been 3 months. I don't even know if it's going anywhere serious. I told Carol I needed time to think. She nodded and left. I called Hadley after, told her what happened. She said, take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. See, that's the kind of woman who makes this decision harder. After all this, how does a man truly choose between the painful echoes of a shared past and the quiet, untainted promise of a new future?